Hey there people, how you doing? So, today we are going to review the Xiaomi Mi 10 and, well, it's interesting, but it requires, what's the word? Tolerance. Yeah, that's it. It requires some tolerance. I'll explain why in a few moments. But first, let's start off with the design, which, by the way, is really good. I mean, I've got to hand it to Xiaomi. They have made one flagship level design for the Mi 10. I mean, it's a complete glass sandwich and it feels amazing in the hand. It's got the perfect heft that I feel is quite important for a flagship. And I've got to say, although it's really heavy, I mean, I was taken aback when I first held it. But yeah, I've gotten used to it pretty well and it feels pretty good in the hand, if that's the cliche you're looking for. And speaking of the curves, well, I don't really mind it as long as the palm rejection is good. And surprisingly, or not maybe, Xiaomi absolutely nailed the palm rejection because I have to say, I have not once had any issues whatsoever. I mean, it's really impressive to be honest. As for the back, well, the color is glossy, but it also looks amazing. So I guess it's alright. The fingerprints are pretty insane, but well, that's true for any glossy phone to be honest. But otherwise, I'd say that the camera bump is there. I mean, it's really there. It's just jutting out and making a huge plateau right there. And even then, I feel like the design is much more sleek as compared to something like the S20, which, well, that rectangular feel is kind of, I don't know, I really don't like it. But this one, I really prefer it. As for wobble on the table when kept flat, well, I think it's fast to say that it's really there once again. But well, I honestly don't mind it too much because well, the camera bump is kind of necessary because after all, the camera hardware kind of requires that huge bump. But anyways, it's alright. So the design can just be striked off as really impressive. I just wish they had a matte finish, man. That would just out of this world. But anyways, let's move on to the display, which is also really good. It's good, definitely. But there are a few caveats, which, well, I'll get to it in a few moments. But first, let's talk about the bright side, because I believe that not only is this display one of the best with colors and everything, but definitely I feel that because Xiaomi gives us the option to completely and utterly customize everything about the display, well, that honestly just blows my mind. So I feel like it is one of the biggest advantages that Xiaomi has in terms of just customizability over something like an S20 even, because if you tune it well enough, you can make it look maybe even better than the S20. I talked about this a little more in depth in another video, so do check that out. As for brightness, well, it gets bright enough, but yeah, it's not like really up there with the best in class, like the S20 or even OnePlus, to be honest. I feel like just a tad bit more would have been nice, but well, honestly, it didn't bother me too much. Obviously, it's got the Asia 10 and 10 Plus support, which is a really nice touch. But now, for the darker side, here things get kind of interesting because I feel that Xiaomi could have maybe done more. But well, for the price, I think it's fair enough because we have a 1080p display running at 90Hz. Now, I feel that a 120Hz would have been nice. It would have been really nice to be honest, because like most of the flagships, all the flagships till now, say the S20 or OnePlus, both of them have 120Hz, which is really something. But not only that, it also doesn't have a Quad HD resolution, so I feel like the display is kind of underpowered, if nothing. But once again, you consider that really competitive price tag, and well, nothing feels lacking here. It is definitely a really good display, but I don't know, I kind of like the higher refresh rate, which is why I feel that 120Hz would have been really nice here, but it's fine really. By no means do I mind the display. As for speakers, well, this one is pretty interesting because the Xiaomi has two sideways firing speakers for, well, a dedicated stereo experience. And I have to say, these have one of the best audio quality and depth that I've ever heard. But, yeah, there's always a but. But, as I was saying, the volume kind of lacks, I feel, just a little bit, as compared to the S20. But honestly, it's amazing. The depth and the overall quality that you get out of two dedicated speaker units, well, it's out of this world. I have to say, the overall experience with the display and speakers put together for content consumption is just fantastic in my opinion. Next up, I was going to talk about performance, but honestly, it's kind of pointless because I have nothing but praises. The A65 in here is more than enough powerful for any of the daily tasks I have, along with all the heavier tasks I throw at it, because its performance and efficiency, well, is flawless. That's just pretty much obvious right now. And thankfully, it's got zero problems like the Exynos S20. And man, am I thankful for that. Now, speaking of efficiency, well, the battery life, it's the best in class to date. I said it. And I believe it's not just the battery size, which is, by the way, huge at 4780 milliamp hours, but also the screen, which is pretty much the most underpowered display that you can get in a flagship to date. It's at 1080p, which is a relatively low resolution, and at 90 Hz, which is also somehow in this day and age a relatively lower refresh rate. Now, if you factor in all of these three things, then definitely, I mean, we should expect something like this, right? A massive, amazing battery life that can almost go up to 2 days if you're willing to push it. Now, for the software, here I think that this is where Xiaomi is lacking the most, in my opinion, because I personally do not like MIUI almost at all. The MIUI 11 skin here is, well, it's lacking a few important options in my opinion, most importantly of which is an app drawer. Because I feel like an Android phone in 2020, it really needs an app drawer. I feel like that was one of the most lacking things in the skin. And along with that, I really don't like the icon pack. It's square and, well, it doesn't look all that elegant in my opinion. But obviously, since it's Android, you can use a third-party launcher like Nova Launcher, which, by the way, I strongly recommend. Other than that, I feel like if Xiaomi is able to add the app drawer and maybe improve the icons on the home screen, I'd say it pretty much cleans up the entire process and makes it easier to use, in my opinion. But other than that, I think it's good enough for most people, but it just wasn't for me, I guess. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the software is a deal breaker, not by a long shot, because now we're going to talk about the cameras, which, oh boy, are just pretty damn impressive, if you ask me, especially because of the sheer quality that we can get coming in at this kind of a price tag. Now, the primary sensor is really interesting because it's got 108 megapixels. Yep, the best you can get to date. And it's just massive. It's the same sensor that the S20 Ultra uses, which actually costs $1,400. A sensor like that on this one, well, that's pretty damn impressive if you ask me. And it's got zero focusing issues, even though it's such a massive sensor. That is just amazing in my opinion. And it's not just hardware, the processing is also really good because not only is it able to keep up with the S20 Plus, it's also at times able to overtake the OnePlus 8 Pro, which, well, in my opinion, that is just fantastic. Although there is one thing that I really wish Xiaomi would implement, and that is a long exposure tripod night mode. It's a feature that both the S20 and OnePlus have, and I don't think that Xiaomi will have too much trouble implementing it, it's just not there. So, other than that, for video, well, it's pretty darn impressive. The only issue I have here is that when it's focusing, it's extremely jerky, but other than that, I feel that it's got almost similar, if not better quality than even the S20 Plus. And this is just 4K. When you move over to 8K, not only can it record at 30 FPS rather than the 24 FPS we get from the S20, but the quality and focusing are absolutely fantastic. They're flawless, while the S20 struggles quite a bit, which kind of makes me believe that the Xiaomi Mi 10 is to date, in my opinion, one of the, if not the best camera for 8K video recording. And for the price that it comes in, well, that's more than you can ask for. And so when you factor into account all of these amazing features like the godlike customization on the display, then there's the amazing camera, 108 megapixels, and the best-in-class 8K video recording, and not to mention one of the best and highest battery lives that I've seen, well, I've got to admit, the Xiaomi Mi 10 is one of the best smartphones you can buy in 2020, especially because it comes in at, I believe, equivalent of $600 in India at least, and man, that is an amazing price for the amazing features that you're gonna get. So, I believe that this is a phone that I can blindly recommend to almost anyone, as long as they are willing to accept the little issues that I've at least had with the software. So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, do hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will be seeing you guys later. Cheers.